Hello my lovely Flosstube friends, a very warm welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, I'm Teresa, aka Teresa Little Stitcher, as the name suggests, and this is my August 2025 update. On the list for this month's update, I've got a bit of whip progress to share with you all. We've got a cheeky new start. And of course, a little bit of Stitchy haul to share with you. But wait, that's not all. My new shiny toy caused a little controversy in the comments of last month's video. But if you didn't like my birthday purchases and my husband's lovely gift from last month, you probably shouldn't watch this one either. There are some extra purchases that I just needed to have. And yeah, if I didn't buy them, my husband bought them. Because this month, I've gone all in. With the whole new world of sewing, quilting, embroidery, patchwork, yeah, lots to share. Lots more purchases. Like I say, not apologising for it. I am absolutely loving life right now. I need to share with you all the things. So the stitching, of course, will be first, and then all of the sewing, quilting, embroidery, freestanding lace, patchwork, that's all going to come at the end. Okay, so I'm forewarning. So we do have a finish of one of my new creations. We have my stuffy toy. I love my stuffy toy, I have to say. So I'll share all of the bits and pieces that I've been doing, working on, playing with, testing the waters with. And then after that, it's all about, like I say, sewing, quilting purchases. And I can't wait to share it with you. So grab your stitching, your crafting, your quilting, your craft of choice. Get yourself comfy. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. It really helps other people find our little community of fun. So we'll keep this video the same with the theme. We'll do the stitching first and everything else after, for those of you that just like to see the stitching side of stuff. Whips. Now, I've got my notes over here because I'm never going to remember all the things, and probably I still haven't remembered all the things anyway. I have done some stitching. Now, the last video that I posted, I was talking about my back, and thank you so much for all of the lovely comments, for those of you that were, you know, giving me lots of love and heart about sort of stitching in hand and, you know, my whole new little rabbit hole. I thank you dearly. I have managed to do a little bit of stitching in hand as well as in Q-snaps. I went in and had some, I think they're called facet joint injections, put into my lower back last week. I must admit, a bit hair raising for a few days, but the last day or so it's starting to just ease off again. So we're sort of back to where I was, and I think it's supposed to just get better and better. So yes, we're heading in the right direction. The first whip that I've worked on since we last spoke is my lovely Witchell Family Farm Afghan. I did pull it back out and put it back onto a little Q-snap. I have managed to be able to do a little more stitching. The back is a little bit more comfortable. I'll talk about that a little later. I'm not going to take it back out again. So I've sort of hooked it up so that it's not draping. It doesn't pull quite so much on me. But we did do a little bit on this one. So here we are. This is the block where I was stitching in hand. I think I'd done this bit down here, and I've gone in and I've started to put all of the white in. Now, it didn't get lots of stitching. When I say I pulled it out and I've stitched on it, literally it's had 3 days worth of stitching, and that's like 3 evenings of stitching. But it was a great one to just sit in front of the TV or lay on the bed and get some extra stitches in. But you know how much I love this one. I love the fact that it's got this really sort of, a lot of people sort of seem to think that this is quite stiff. It's not. It's actually really quite flimsy and floppy. It's a lovely count for me to work on. I don't need any any help with the eyes. The only bit that is not so good is this is using 4 strands of thread. And because you use a lot of thread, because it's such a big count, that I have to make my lengths really quite long. So having very long lengths, sometimes I feel like I'm like pulling strands out bit by bit. But I'm more than happy. This was never supposed to be done fast. Of course, nothing that I do is ever done fast, is it? But I do absolutely love just being able to pull it out and have a little play with it and then throw it in the basket. But it is, I mean, this is it. It's a big piece. It's a big piece, but each one of these is a little finish. And in all fairness, I think this block is nearly done. I've got a little bit more to go in this bit here and here and just here, and then this block is done. I'm trying to work out how many more squares have we got. So that's there. So I've got 1 more square of sky, 2, 3. I think there's 4 more squares of sky. But once I finish this block, I'm going to go back down and I'm going to do something other than sky. I think I deserve to do something other than blue and white and grey. So yeah, like I say, family farm Afghan, love it. It was never meant to be something that I stitched fast, because I don't stitch fast. You have to be consistent with that, and I'm not very consistent at the moment. Well, in fact, I can't even remember the last time I was consistent, but this is all about process, right? You know, when the more I sort of like think to myself, you know, oh, I don't, you know, a comment was made that I don't finish anything. And I'm like, well, that's not strictly true. A lot of what I stitch on is rather big, or I've got lots of different things, but that doesn't mean nothing ever gets finished. I do get stuff finished. I had a finish in the last one, didn't I? I had my Oktoberfest, my little strawberry thing. I finished my Chatelaine. I finished my high heels collection. I have finished stuff. Just not as fast as most people, that's all. But then I'm also, working, and I have life. Right, ran over people. You can see where I'm going today, can't you? Right, next up we have, this one, people. I'm in love again. I'm in love. What can I say? This is my Hands Across the Sea, Elizabeth Weston. Look at this. This is so pretty. You know, like on other projects, you have to sort of have like all of the threads, and then I have to refer to my thread thing. This is so easy because it's one like little. There we go. Let me just show you. It's got all of my threads on there. It's got the key on there so that I can see exactly what I need. And I have this hanging next to me when I'm stitching. So I don't need all of the paperwork and whatever everywhere. I can literally just look at this. But then, of course, you then just have to just look at these. I mean, look at these. Oh, these are so, so lovely. Would you look at those colours? It is so, so pretty. So pretty. And to be honest, I could sit and stroke them endlessly. But that's not unusual. I've spoken about the stroking of the Averrochoise before, right? I have spoken about that. I think we've done quite well on this one. I already had this border done. I've still got some of this border to go on this side, but all of this bit, this basically is where the page finishes. So this will be finally a page finish. I think, let me just look at the chart. I can't show you the chart, obviously. So looking at this chart, let's have a little look. So we've got the rest of this flower to do this side. We've got that. That basically is the end of the page. So I need to fill in this little section here. And then there's another little motif that starts just about here. And then that is the page finish. This bit up here that I'd started where I'd done the star, this is the next page. But Yay, go me. Look at that. So although I've loved working on this piece, I've only actually stitched on this 4 days this month. But the fact that there's quite a lot in there, I know this bit looks a little pale. I did double check because this outline stitch is a slightly different shade of the inside stitch. That's more of a creamy one. And this is, I don't know. When I look at it like this, it looks like it's like almost like a more, it's got a slight hint of green in it. But I think it's totally fine. It probably looks a little bit worse on camera, but actually in person, it doesn't look like it's like, oh, that's blending way too much. It's not like the other fabric. So love, love, love. Absolutely love working on this piece. Like I say, 4 days worth of stitching on my Elizabeth Weston, and I'm so pleased now that I got it out to use for the softly spoken stories, because yeah, it sort of made me fall back in love with her. Right, I'm just gonna hide that because that's the chart and you're not allowed to see the chart. What else did I work on? What else did we have? So we also had, she says, my lovely Alternative Reality by Josephine Wall, Heaven and Earth Design. This is my full coverage that I said that I was going to try and make this a focus piece, and I really have tried. But for one reason or another, I've just not been getting to it as much as I would like. And then with the whole back situation, that makes it a whole worse mess, because I can't stitch it on the frame that I normally stitch on. But I did pull it out to try and give it a little bit of love. I'm trying to menander this so that you can see it. And yeah, I didn't go big guns. I didn't go big guns on this one. But here is where we've got to. If I can find a picture of where you last saw this, I'll put like in a little side by side. But this is the one where I'm trying to tie the threads in, she says, famous last words. There's a few strands. I don't mind the odd strand here and there. These are the ones that are still left to go in, and I'm like, I don't want to sort of stitch all the way down because it would send them too far. But this section here I've been working on, and we're actually on her dress. We're on like a waistline now. I'm like, yay, finally. So like I say, I'm doing 10 by 10 blocks and then just continuing the thread until it runs out, as long as it stays sort of in this sort of vicinity. If it goes much further than that, then no, it's not going to get stitched. I'll then end the thread. But wherever I can just continue the thread until it runs out in a reasonable distance, that is the approach. So I think the last time you saw this, I was probably about here on the thumb area. So I've completed that block. By completing that block, there were so many colours that it almost completely completed this block. And then I've gone down to do this. And I think, again, because this thread here, which is in the block above, actually continued down, I continued stitching that. So I've actually stitched all of this and I've completed this block here. So you can see that's the actual finished block. And then these are another 2 blocks just here that I haven't completed. This is just basically where I've just continued to carry the threads. But I do feel like I'm getting more stitching done. The only thing that does worry me doing it like this is the fear that I'm going to put something in the wrong place and then I'm going to have a wrong reference point, because I tend to use the stitches around everything as my reference. And you would think that counting either 1 to 10 or 1 to 20 shouldn't be so difficult, but yep, I really do struggle on occasion with that. Especially when sort of like I've got bits and pieces. The more filled it is, the easier it seems to be. The less filled the space is, then I'm, open to error. But every bit of progress is a bit of progress, right? So Alternative Reality only got 3 days worth of stitching, but in that 3 days, I really feel like I actually did something worthwhile. I just found that because this one has to be on the frame, I could only stitch on it for a really short amount of time because of the back. So I was like, yeah, no, we need to stop now. But I absolutely love this one. Absolutely love this one. And the intention is still to make this sort of like a bit of a focus. I'm not going to sit here and say it's going to be completely dedicated to, and I'm not going to stitch on any other full coverages or any other projects, because that's never going to happen. And I think I'm starting to come round to this idea, you know, when we sort of sit there and say, you know, I want to try and focus on the finish, and, you know, I don't feel like I'm being productive. There's a lot of people that sort of say, you know, are you a process stitcher? And I think when you consider the process, it's like, well, if I was all about finishing, I certainly wouldn't have as many projects as I have. If it was just the goal was start and finish, I certainly wouldn't have whips. Or if I did, it'd be one or two. It wouldn't be like an endless supply. I certainly then wouldn't be delving down other rabbit holes and getting myself involved with either paper crafts or sewing or quilting. Or so for me, I think I'm starting to realise that this whole need to have everything finished isn't the driving force. It's the process. It's the actually having the opportunity to sit and stitch on something. Yes, it's always lovely to get that finished feeling, you know, when you get that finish. But the one thing that I will say, as someone who has finished a number of bigger projects, because yes, I have finished projects, my chatelaine, my Faces of Fury, my Grace Faces, what else was big? All of my cricket collection ones, they're quite substantial. They're not tiny little smalls. Although I thoroughly enjoyed stitching on them, and especially the bigger ones like the full coverage pieces and the chatelaine, although it was the best feeling in the world to put that final stitch in and to get that last the completion there, I found it actually not depressing. It's the wrong word. But there was like a big come down afterwards, and almost like a nostalgic moment of like, oh no, that means I can't stitch on this anymore. And then you would think, I'd be like, right, okay, let's start the next thing. And it doesn't have that effect on me. It's sort of like all of a sudden I'm like, yeah. So when I sit and consider, you know, is it all about the finishing? And yes, it's lovely to have the finish. I do find that I have rather nostalgic moments. So I'm definitely about the process. So if things take me longer, I'm fine with that. And I'm not going to keep worrying about how long it takes me to do everything, because I have a life. I have things in my life that mean I can't just sit and stitch all day long. I would love to, but I can't. But then I'm like, this is about the enjoyment. I need to be enjoying myself, you know, and if that means stitching lots of different things and dabbling with this and dabbling with that, then that's what I will need to do, because it's all about the enjoyment. So there we go. Don't ask me where that little ramble came from. So projects as far as whip updates, we had the family farm, check, we done that, 3 days on that. Alternative reality, got 3 days on it. And my Hands Across the Sea by Elizabeth Weston by Hands Across the Sea, got 4 days worth of stitching. So that was the whips that I actually played with since I last spoke to you. And it's not been a full month, because I think the last video that I put out, I think was around the 10th of August. So it's less than a month. But I did have a sneaky new start. So when I was saying to everyone about the whole back situation, and I'm struggling to stitch on the things, and, you know, the in-hand stitching, well, this thing may have happened. And I had gone and bought those new charts, didn't I? Lots of little smalls. And I'm like, well, maybe I need to stitch on some smalls. But then I had like a light bulb moment. I do love a light bulb moment. Let me show you these. Here are some gorgeous, gorgeous threads. Would you look at these colours? Let me ravel them up for you. Look. And I think sort of the brand of thread probably is going to give the game away. This is my way of telling you what I've done. So if I go like this, and for those stitchers out there that know what thread this is, you will know this is a pearl cotton. And on my list of things that need to be done or I would like to do, of course, this may have happened. Yes, people, it's a stocking. It is a shepherd's bush stocking, to be precise. I did put this into a Q-snap, a little Q-snap, and made a start on one of the shepherd's bush stockings. I'm trying to remember. I was watching something on the telly when I was doing this. I think it was the ladies. Was it? I think it was the rugby. I don't know. It was some sport. There was something on the telly, and I was like, I'll just sit and stitch on this. So yeah, that's what I did. That's what I did. Right, now let me see if I can work out which way round this is. I think it's this way round. So let me put it on the overhead for you so you can have a little looky. So we didn't do too bad, people. So this one is the shepherd's bush, and I think it's the terry stocking. I started this on the 11th of August. And I stitched on this 6 days. So this got 6 days worth of stitching, and I'm thoroughly enjoying myself. The only thing that I will say that's different this time. So you remember that I said that the Nimble Thimble was the supplier for the fabric that I used last time. I'm trying to remember what count it is. Hold on, let me have a quick look in my little bookie here. So the fabric is a 18 count natural linen. And I got this from the Nimble Thimble. But I have to say, this one is a slightly different colour to the last one. So it's slight. Well, I think it's slightly lighter. It feels lighter. But I am finding that this is much stiffer than the last one. The last one had a little less stiffness. But I'm thinking that the more I sort of like bend and flex it, the softer this fabric will get. But thoroughly enjoyed working on this. Of course, you know, there's such big holes on it. I don't need to worry about not being able to see. And yeah, we're all about doing all the things, it appears. So nothing like a little bit of a stocking in September. Or in August, should I say, because we're not in September. I think September is tomorrow. Officially, today is the last day of summer. I know, it's sad, isn't it? Although you would not think it looking outside. The sun is shining. It's nice and warm. It's about 23 degrees here today. But we've had a few spots of rain, and the evenings are definitely getting a little bit more chilly. So, yeah, we're definitely starting to head into the not sitting in the garden and boiling to death. And finally, it's going to be indoorsy crafty days. So there is what I have stitched on. Now, I did make some purchases, she says. Of course, for those of you that said you love the rustle, here's a bit of rustle for you. I'm on the West Green Loft Yarns Fabric of the Month Club. So my September colour has come in. Let me share with you. Here it is. Look at that. What can I put it next to show you a colour? So this is like a manila envelope. That's the colour, because it was blending too much with the background. It's beautiful, beautiful, beautiful fabric. This one is a 28 count fat quarter. September Club 2025. Love, 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 love. So, of course, my Fabric of the Month Club is in. That will go into stash. So for Whip Go, I've pretty much stayed on track, I think. Let me just converse with my spreadsheet, my handy dandy spreadsheet. So Whip Go said, what was it I was behind on? So I needed to get some Afghan time, which I did. So that ticked that box. I needed some time on a sampler. Now, the sampler for August was 5 days. And so far, Elizabeth Weston's had 1, 2, 3, 4. So in all fairness, if I do another bit of stitching on that this evening, there's my 5 days. So I can mark that one off as done. There aren't very many spaces left, are they? I haven't actually looked at what September's numbers are yet, so I can't tell you what I'm going to do for that. But what is left on so what I have done is, because I've started a stocking, I did go in and adjust my Whip Go to add some spacing for allocation for stockings, because it was always the plan that I was going to do stockings towards the end of the year. So I'm like, do you know what, where there was either a fancy or a full coverage, I've just switched 1 or 2 of them out and put stocking in, so that at least that way it will help. So it's some slight tweaks to the Whip Go, because it is my Whip Go. I can do that. But literally I was a little bit behind. I think last time I spoke to you, I was behind in July and I was behind on August. And other than one more day of stitching on a sampler, I'm back up to date on Whip Go. So go me. Yay. Go me. What else? Now, you know that I'm not really the sort of person that goes spending lots and lots of money on stitchy stuff that I'm not likely to get to. But I'm going to say, people, that because I have been delving into something other than my typical cross stitch, I've been doing a little bit of shopping. But we're still, don't worry, we're still on the stitching. Okay, so don't just all log off like, here she goes, she's off on her sewing stuff. I'm not there yet. So on YouTube, because I was sort of falling down the rabbit hole of sewing and quilting and all of those things, I have spent quite a few mornings just tuned in, even though I've been doing work or I've been doing, other stuff. I've been tuned in to Sewing Street on YouTube. And it's live every morning, I think between 8 and 12. And I just have it running in the background. Well, because every now and then it's like, ooh, right. Well, I thought that they only did quilting and sewing type things. I mean, some of it completely it's even like sewing clothes, and I don't have any intentions of making any clothing. But then all of a sudden they had hand embroidery. And yes, people, if it's not bad enough that I fell down a rabbit hole with my new sewing machine and all the things, when I saw these, I was like, oh. So let me just show you. I know, people. So yes, okay, it's not cross stitch, but it is hand embroidery. And I saw these being demoed on the Sewing Street, and I could not resist. So I went with their little kit. So I got the miniature one, thinking if I just get the little one, I can give it a go, see how easy or hard it is. And then if I like it, I can get a bigger one. So they were showing this one first. So obviously this one plopped into my little basket. So this is the water lily pool. And it comes as a kit. And what I liked about it is it's got organza in there. And they were showing you how to sort of like put the organza on. All of the threads are pre-sorted for me, so I don't need to do that. Of course, the bling. We love a bit of bling, right? You have to love a bit of bling. But when I actually saw this being made and how you sort of you use the organza behind everything and then stitch over the top of it to make it look like a pond or a pool. It just looked so, yeah. I was like, I need to try this. So, of course, this one fell into the basket first. And I was like, that'll do. I checked out. I was like, that's all I need. And then this happened. I know. When I saw it, I was like, oh, how can I not? And then she was sort of explaining that, you know, this is like just loads of straight stitches, long stitches, you know, and it's done with different materials. It's done with wools. And I was like, do you know what? I need to try this. And again, it comes as a full kit. So it's got the kit, it's got the printed fabric, it's got the needles, all sorted coloured fabrics, threads on an organiser, which is the bit that I like. I don't need to sort the threads out. They're already pre-sorted. Beads and sequins. And of course, the most important for me is going to be the instructions. Now, I've never done one of these before, so I will wait and see. But would you look at that organza in there? And you can see in the back there, this is the pre-printed. So it gives you the guides. And then I've got all of the, I mean, I love the fact that it's got sort of what looks like your normal embroidery thread. Then it's got sparkly thread. Then it's got what looks like your sort of your DMC equivalent, your 6 strand. Then it's got this thick wool looking stuff. And I'm like, I have to try this. So, of course, falling down all these rabbit holes is, yeah, I had to. And I cannot wait. I'm in the middle of obviously doing lots of different things at the moment, but as soon as I'm like in a position where I'm like, okay, get a couple of ticks on the boxes, get everything where I want it, then we're going to start one of these, because I am loving these, I have to say. When I saw them and I saw how they were like, and she was like, there's no rhyme or reason, you know, you just got to do this, you know, and everything comes in the instructions. So I was like, let's give it a go. I quite like the freedom, I think, of something like this. I think, providing I can do the stitches. And I'm like, now that I've already tackled a fair amount of the specialty stitches as part of my chatelaines and those sorts of things, I'm like, you know, there's really nothing to be scared of. And when the lady was doing the demonstration on the sewing street, she was sort of saying it's the freedom. So although the lines are there for you to follow, like where you're supposed to put certain things, the rest of it basically is just wherever you think, you know, because there is no right or wrong way. And I'm rather liking the idea of that freedom, which we don't get in the counted cross stitch. So I'm going to give that a go. I'm going to give it a go and see what happens. It can only go one or two ways, but if I don't try it, I'll never know. And this is where my headspace is now at the moment, where I'm like, yes, okay, you turn to cross stitch and you know how to do cross stitch now. But at one point I didn't know how to do cross stitch, and I didn't realise what I was missing out on until I actually got my head around it and gave myself the time to try it. So I'm like, well, then why shouldn't I try all these other things? Who says I shouldn't? Certainly not me. So because obviously I did delve down that whole rabbit hole, they was also, again, Sewing Street. Dangerous online shopping, people. Katrina Witten was, I think she was the lady that was doing the demonstration. If not, I don't know. I can't remember now. But as part of the hand embroidery, these little things, they were sort of saying that this book is like a really, really good partnership for anyone that wants to sort of do or turn their hand to hand embroidery. So it's hand stitched landscapes and flowers. What I liked about this book is not only does it actually go, it gives you sort of all of the, it gives you, let me share with you. I'm going to put it down. And why am I not using my overhead camera? This is what it's for, right? Just to give you an idea of what's in this book. So in the book, obviously it's got your introduction. It's also got about your materials and your fabrics, the threads and the yarns. And then it sort of tells you what the stitches are, so I can look up the stitches. And then it's got the techniques. So like how to apply the beads, how working with the organza. I mean, obviously, tension hoop, I don't think I need to worry too much about that. Melting out applique motifs, see what I mean? And then it's sort of achieving 3-dimensional effects for trees, rocks, loose grass, dry stone, sheep, flower centres. And then the bit that I really liked is, although I've got the kit, so I can stitch this, by having this book, there are all these other projects that are actually in this book. So I would just need to go and get the materials, and I could do that. It's got templates. Yeah. What is not to love? I mean, like, literally, let me give you a little flick through. I mean, yeah. If nothing else, I could just sit and look at the book. It goes into the backgrounds of the fabrics, all about the organzas, satins, velvets, metallics, all the different types of thread that I'm likely to use or that I could use. It's got so much in it. So much in it. And it's so, you can see that it's really, really easily. I mean, the ribbons. I mean, even down to this, you know, you're literally just sewing shells on and beads, which is not really that far different to what we do in counted cross stitch. I think this is just slightly different because it's placement. And again, this section here, and this section here looks like it's been sort of coloured in some way. It's not. That's organza. That is organza that is laid over the fabric. That is it. So I'm like, when I saw this book, I was like, this book will be such a great thing to have to go along with the hand embroidery kits, because if there's anything that I'm not too sure about, this is going to make it super easy. So yeah. So I bought myself a book as well. Now, I know you're sitting there going, but that's not counted cross stitch, but it is stitching. It's still stitching, no matter which way I look at it. But the proof was in the pudding. I went on to Sewing Street on YouTube, watching that, thinking I'll learn new things on something else, such as, you know, the sewing and embroidery and patchwork and quilting, that type of thing. And I ended up coming away with, yes, more stitching stuff for me. Right, so if you was only here for the stitching and you're not interested in anything else, then I will let you say goodbye. And for those that are the people that want to see all the things, and this is where I will not apologise, people, for sharing with you my wares, my purchases. Of course, when I'm saying I don't apologise, what I mean is, by me sharing the things that I buy for any craft, it makes no difference whether it's my sewing craft, my stitching craft, my paper craft, any craft or anything that I do. If I share something that I've bought, that's just me sharing what I bought. That's not me saying everybody needs to go and buy this. This is not promotional. I've not been given anything for free. I'm just sharing what I've bought. But that doesn't mean that I'm sitting there telling everyone else to go and buy all the things. Okay, so let me just clear that one up. Now, for the sewing and the quilting and the rabbit hole and the shiny new toy and more shiny new toys. Yes, I know, people. For those of you that follow me on Instagram and Facebook, you will know that the duck is done. This is Gertrude. Say hi. Say hi. So this is my first project. My first project, people, is complete. So the last time you saw this, it was literally just the patchwork, and I was worried about my seams and my joins. I don't think we did too bad. She looks pretty straight. There's a few rough edges, but in general, I mean, is that one there probably could have been a little bit better, but do you know what? I don't mind. So this is Gertrude the Goose. She spends quite a lot of time outside in the garden next to the water feature. I'm joking. She actually stays in here now. The girls didn't quite know what to make of her, and this is my first ever stuffy. My first ever stuffy animal. But I am overjoyed. We got little feet. Look at the feet. We did feet. We done wings. Two-tone wings. the instructions didn't come with the fake eyes. The instructions came with, I think it was like black felt and then white felt, I think. I decided not to do that. I actually got the fake eyes, but I've not got children playing with this, so I don't need to worry about the eyeballs falling off. Also, the beak, there was a slight issue with the sewing, as you can see. She looks like she's sort of got a wonky looking beak, but hey, I'm assuming that that geese beaks are not completely symmetrical. Well, at least mine's not. So, but here she is. One completed project that I am very proud of myself with. You know, when you're just like, I didn't think I could do it, certainly not on my own, and I did. And yeah, and I had an absolute blast doing it and putting it together and following the instructions. But now I just need to make like a little friend, because this is the 20 inch. And I think there's like a 16 or an 18 inch version. I don't know if I do a patchwork the next one. I might just use plain material and just have a smaller version. But absolutely love. And of course, I called her Gertrude. Makes total sense. So she has new pride of place here in the office, because I can't necessarily trust the girls not to try and eat her. Not that they'd eat her, but they would think that it's one of their toys. Now I've got to find somewhere to put her. Okay, so Gertrude is, there she is. There she is, pride of place. Pride of place over there. Now, in case you hadn't noticed when I'm pointing here, for those of you that know my background, you will also know that if I point here, you're like, ooh, Teresa, what is that? So again, another gift. So this is not me. This is not me. I didn't buy this, but it was something that I wanted. This is one of the new Brother ScanNCuts. It's the SD2250X or something like that. It's more specific for fabrics. Now, yes, I know I do have a Cricut Maker. I have a Cricut Maker 3, which is up in that cupboard up there. But the Cricut Maker is not that great when it comes to doing anything to do with my sewing or my stitching. That's more of a paper craft thing, and it always used to be a bugbear whenever I was trying to use it, because I've always used my Cricut to cut out the templates and stuff for my little finishes. So my little Christmas jumpers and all of those sorts of things, I would use my Cricut Maker. Because I was literally taking a picture of the item and then I was having to make the adjustments, because it wasn't an SVG file or anything like that. It's probably a bit technical, people, I know, but it was always a faff to get it to work. However, this over here, this Brother, what I like about it, comes with a scanning mat. So I can scan my cross stitch design in its shape completed, and it will take a picture of that. And then it allows me to sort of turn it into an outline so that I can then cut whatever I need to cut, whether that be a piece of fabric, whether that be some card or some. It doesn't do really, really thick foam core, but it does do the backing board, which is what I use when I'm making my little Christmas jumpers and stuff. I use the comic cardboard and I put two of them together and stick them together, and that gives me the thickness for my backing, for my finishing. So because obviously this also will do, it cuts out applique, it will cut out various things, and I've been delving down the whole applique world currently. I've been doing a little bit of that. So because I've been doing that, and that was what I wanted it for, I wanted it more for the fabric and not so much paper and cardstock. This also does vinyl. It does all the things, but it just seems so far, the more I've used it, the more I'm like, this is so much easier than my Cricut Maker is, because I don't need all this technicality. I just need it to scan something and cut it an outline. That's it. That's what I need. Because it does that, it is so much easier. So my lovely mummy bought me this for my big birthday. So thank you, Mummy. It's much appreciated, and I'm having so much joy and fun with my new Brother ScanNCut. Needless to say, I had to go onto a Facebook group and go and sign up to some Brother ScanNCut Facebook groups because it's a new thing for me. But so far, absolutely loving it. What else did I buy? Now, I think I told you all in the last video that one of the purchases that I was waiting on, I ordered it ages ago, and it was winging its way to me. It took forever to get here. Was my Sew Tiles rotating magnetic self-healing mat. It is fabulous, people. Fabulous. Right, so you're sitting there going, well, what is it you're talking about, Teresa? Because we have no idea. This is what I got. So it's the 11-inch rotating self-healing cutting mat. And you think to yourself, okay, well, it's just a rotating cutting mat. However, not only is it a rotating cutting mat, but it's also got magnets. And the magnets hold everything on there, including my ruler. So I don't need to worry about sort of, letting go of anything, because that's one thing I have noticed is that occasionally I'll let go of the ruler and the ruler moves ever so slightly. But then when it does, it's like, oh, damn. And it doesn't look as good as it should do. So here it is. My rotating self-healing mat I love, but it's got these really, really strong magnets that come with it. And at first I was like, well, that's a bit gimmicky, right? But it's not, because if I, as example, get this gorgeous bit of fabric that I've got and put it on there, and then just put my magnets on, and then turn the whole thing upside down, it all stays put. Nothing moves. So, like when you you've got like a pattern, or, you've got a bit of paper that you need to cut out. You can literally just put one magnet on there and the whole thing stays on the board. I absolutely love it. Absolutely love. It's like, who thought of this? Who thought? I mean, it's amazing. I mean, like, look. So especially since as I'm quite new to all of this, being so new and fresh at all of this stuff, I'm the one still making the schoolgirl errors where, things shift or move, and then I'm like, oh no, I ruined it. Not anymore. Not anymore. So, of course, that was something that I ordered ages ago, and was just like, it did take a long time to get to me, admittedly. But once it got here, I've like, ever since then, I've like everything that's been smaller, because this one it's 11 inches around. They do them in bigger sizes, and they do actual full size mats, but they're far from cheap. So I was like, well, I don't need anything big. I've already got like a standard cutting mat, but this for the whole, when I need to cut little shapes, this is perfect. And it's something that's it's not taking up too much room. One of those things I love. So, of course, I purchased myself that. It has been a game changer since I did. So at the moment, everything feels like it's a game changer. It's like, this is a game changer. That's a game. But that's because this is all new to me. And I don't, I haven't got my, how do you call it? Haven't got my toolbox yet. It's like, you don't have a plumber that doesn't have a toolbox. You don't have an electrician that doesn't have a toolbox. You don't have a sewer. So someone that does cross stitch. A cross stitcher has their toolbox of stuff. They have, their hoops, or they have their scroll bars, or everyone's got something different. They've got their tape measures. They've got all of the things, right? Well, because this is all new to me, I'm still creating my toolbox. So because of that, what I also have delved into is I have been playing with my machine. Now, don't judge, people, okay? I'm just going to say this because I'm like, I need to know exactly what my machine can do to know which bits I really, really like doing and which bits actually like, no, I oh, that is okay doing it. So I don't need as many bits and pieces for that particular thing. So I've been testing. One of the reasons I didn't do as much stitching as I would have liked is that I've been playing with the sewing machine quite a lot. You know, other than making Gertrude, I was also testing. So I've done t-shirts, embroidery. I've done all of my husband's business stuff. I am in the processes of doing some other things with the applique, which I can't show you just yet, but I will show you probably in the next update. But one of the other things that I did play with, because I was this. So this is freestanding lace that I didn't even know this machine did or how you did it. But the fact that it does do it, I'm like, oh God. I mean, I did turn around and say to my mum, and I was like, Mum, do you still like doilies? She was like, what's that mean? And I was like, remember those little doily things that you used to have out on the table? I said, like, for like the candlestick and a bowl for whatever to sit on. I said, because I can make doilies now. Of course, you can do more with freestanding lace than just make doilies. But I loved the fact that I could make this. And literally, this took like 2 seconds to whiz up, and then just stuck it in some water dissolving stabilizer, and this is what I got. So I did one for me and one for Mummy. And of course, now I'm sitting there going, oh, just think of all the little Christmas decorations that I can make with this, because I can have angels and I can have stars, and yes, people, the rabbit hole is real. And then the other thing that I did, so because I'm trying to think of what little projects could I do rather than sort of take on a massive, great big project. Bearing in mind, I'm sort of testing the waters with a little bit of everything to see exactly what I love doing versus what I don't love doing. And then also actually what is it that I might really like doing it, but it's going to take a bit of like learning versus actually this is so easy. I don't need to learn this because it's coming naturally. So I've been sort of trialing and testing. And one of the things that I was sort of thinking was that it'd be nice to do like small things, because everything that I've looked up, they was talking about felt. Now, I don't think I've got the right felt. I think I've just got this cheap tat felt that I got from like Hobbycraft, which is like, you know, really, really cheap. But I did make with my embroidery machine this, just to get a feel for what it does. Now, I didn't put any topper on this, but you know when it's just like this was all done by embroidery, and I was just like, oh, just think of the things that I can do. Now, you know, it's a file that, it's not my file. It was a digitized file that I got off Etsy. I'm beginning to wonder whether actually there's certain materials that things work better with. So I was like, well, okay, well, I'll try it on felt, and then maybe I'll try it on a piece of cotton with some stabilizer behind it, and then I'll try it on something else, because I'm trying to get a feel for exactly what works and what doesn't work. But my idea was, if I can find something that I can do on felt, just think, you know, I could make little keyring things, or I can make, you know, little gifts for Christmas. So at the moment, I'm sort of trying to try everything so that I can work out, you know, what bits I can make with this machine, as well as doing all of the, you know, the quilting and the sewing and but so far I'm just having so much fun playing, and it is like playtime. It's like every time I have 5 minutes, I'm like, I wonder if I've got time just to sort of like have a little go at something. So at the moment, I'm wanting like smaller projects that I can sort of like, you know, just dabble with to test the water and to see how it works, see how easy it is or hard, depending on what that might be. So because obviously I've been very much involved with the whole embroidery type stuff, one of the things that became very apparent is I need more embroidery thread in my life. And, you know, I was searching on what threads I should get and yada yada. And yes, okay, I did get some Madeira threads for a specific project. But then I was like, but then if I want to try and embroider anything else, I need to have at least a few colours so that I can, you know, make a design up. So I might have done this. So this is like a multi-pack. It's by Splendor. Let me turn it around for you. There you go. So basically it's a 50 assortment. They're the small spools, because I was like, well, you know, I don't want loads of big spools just yet. Like it says, ideal for machine embroidery, thread painting, building decorative stitches, and machine applique. Mostly I wanted it for embroidery and applique because I'm rather loving the applique stuff, I must be honest. So I got myself a little selection of these. I did, however, she says, famous last words, I did also pick up some metallics. Now, I'm gonna tell you this now, people, that I did try to do something in the metallics and it was a whole hot mess. And when I've looked it up, everyone sort of says, you know, metallics can be a bit more of a tricky little beast. I already have the Wonderfeel metallics. So these are the colours that I got. This is the one that I was actually trying to stitch with and it was just turning into a whole hot mess. We've got gold, got a red, got a silver, got a green, and another dark purple. So they're the metallics, the ones along the top. Now, for some, I don't know whether it was just what I was trying to embroider wasn't working with the metallics. I've also ordered myself a spool stand, because one of the things that did come up, although I reduced the tension on my embroidery machine, I changed the needle so that it was a better needle, although it wasn't a metallics needle. So I've ordered some metallic needles. But what I did find out was actually because the metallics have a tendency of sort of like unraveling and kinking and twisting all by themselves. Apparently, the further away the spool is from the actual threader of the machine, the better behaved they are. So I have actually ordered myself a spool stand that goes behind the machine so that you loop it up and over and then it drapes down onto the machine, in the hope that actually it'll make it so that I can actually do something with these metallics. Like I say, I don't know whether... I don't think it was the tension, because I reduced the tension. It did keep snapping though, but then I was trying to push it through. Well, I'll show you in a minute what it was going through, but it was going through like a soft and stable foam plus cotton. And I think it was just too much. So I'm like, Teresa, you're biting off more than you can chew. Go back to just normal rayon thread for this little project of yours and worry about the metallics later. But after doing a bit of research, I was like, right, okay, one of the things I need is this spool holder thing. So I've ordered that. And to be honest, after doing a bit of this whole embroidery stroke applique type stuff, it has become rather apparent as to the reason why I'd need a spool holder. Because when you're working with sort of 6 and 7 colours just to do one little design, to keep taking them off the spool and then putting another one on, that was a bit of a faff, I'll be honest. I was like, this is faffy. Whereas if you've already got them all sort of set out and you're just literally rethreading the machine, I'm like, yeah, that's a bit like a full coverage where, you know, you just park in your thread. That's sort of... in my head, that's where I was going. I was like, yeah, see, this is like, imagine, just for 1 minute, imagine... You know, when you first start your first full coverage, or you start your first full coverage, and you've got to get, I don't know, the first square, like the first 10 by 10 block in, and it's like every single strand needs to be pulled, needs to be threaded, and needs to be stitched in before you've actually got the thread there waiting. Well, this was sort of very similar. Whereas I'm like, my analogy in my head and the way that I was looking at it was like, well, if I've got all of the threads already sort of like lined up on one of those spool holder things, if all I'm doing is unthread one, change the colour, thread the other, but all the spools are there, to me, in my head, that's like parking my thread. So I'm like, it makes total sense. I'm down with that. So I've ordered one of those. What I have also done, apparently there is an all singing, all dancing metallic thread called King Star. There's a company close by to me that actually does that thread, and apparently that is a game changer thread. So I have ordered myself 2 or 3 big spools of those, which I know I need to go and get next week or this week coming. And I'm going to give that a go and see whether it is a case that I just tried to use Wonderfeel thread on the wrong material and made it more hard for myself, or whether actually this is a bit tricky to work with anyway. And I'll do like the comparison with the King Star metallic thread and see whether actually it is as good as they say it is. Of course, because I was purchasing the threads and I'm like, now that I'm understanding sort of actually, if you've only got a few selections of threads, and even though I've got all of these colours, you'd think, oh, well, that will match that bit of fabric. The one thing that did come about was I didn't realise, you know, you've got different shades. This is a bit like your DMC range, isn't it? So, of course, I had to get myself the Wonderfeel Splendor, which is the rayon thread colour chart. And it did. As soon as I opened it, it reminded me of the DMC one. So, you know, like our DMC ones. This is the embroidery thread version of. I thought it was hilarious because I'm like, oh God, look, this is the same as my DMC one. I love it. I love it. And this is why, you know, when everyone sits there going, oh, you know, it's completely different. I'm like, it's not that different. It is, but it isn't, if you know what I mean. So there we go. So there's a little bit more purchasing that has been going on. This one was a little bit of a luxury. Okay, I'm going to be honest. I saw a review on YouTube about this and I was like, I can't help myself, people. And I'm like, I don't care whether it's extravagant or not. I'm still getting it. And for those of you that know the name, you'll know what this is. But this is an iron. Such a domestic goddess that I am. I bought myself an iron. But it's not just any iron, is it? It's not just any iron, she says. It's a very pretty iron, is what it is. Right, let me see if I can do this without moving my back too much. Hold up. Oh. Would you look at this? I know, you're like, it's just an iron, Teresa. I was like that. I was like, well, who wants to pay that money for an iron when I got an iron set out there that does all my clothes? This is a different type of iron. And I didn't even know one of these irons existed. I'll be honest with you. So, obviously I can't plug it in. But what it does have on this iron, so it's the Pro Smart Iron. I love the fact that it's got all of the... Let me show you the detail overhead, look. Would you look at this? It's the prettiest iron I've ever owned, I'll be honest. It is definitely the prettiest iron. And then that's the message on the back. Please don't feed the fish. But you'll notice it's got this little bit here. Hang on, let me do it here because you can't see it like this. So it says, please don't feed the fish. And then it's got this bit here and then it's got this bit here. Well, it's got a sensor in the handle. So when I put my hand on it, it goes down and it irons. And as soon as I take my hand off, the whole thing stands off so that I can't burn anything. And I'm like, oh, I so need one of those because I would be like, I forgot that bit of fabric was under there. Yeah. And the fact that I'm doing it so much on the applique and literally I spent most of my time going between this room and another room, going backwards and forwards to the iron because my iron is actually one of those big steam generating irons, which I can't move. It's like it has to stay where it is. So I'm like, well, I need another iron. And I'm like, well, and if this is specifically just for anything to do with my fabrics or quilting, or I'm like, well, then I should have one of these irons. So I got one. So that was my treat to myself, that one. And so far I am loving playing with my iron. Who would have thought? Who would have thought that I would be so happy to get the iron out? I've never been happy to get an iron out before. And now I'm like, oh no, let's get the iron out. It's extreme, people, I know. But for someone who hates ironing normally, I am thoroughly enjoying this type of ironing. It's completely different. It's not like ironing shirts or trousers. Absolutely nothing like that. What else to tell you? So, another little thing before I sort of show you what I've been up to. On, again, that really dangerous YouTube channel in the mornings, they do these packs of My Pattern Archive, they're called. They're like manila bags. And you know when you're just like, oh, I need some of those. So I got some because I had no idea actually how big they were. And they were there for like, you know, once you start making all your pieces for your quilts and stuff and you've got everything, you can just sort of stick it in there and you can write all of the details on there. But I was like, I can use these for my cross stitch as well. Not to actually, you know, because obviously I love my actual bags and things. But you know when like you've kitted something up, because this is where I am really bad. I will kit something up and put it back into its little box. Whereas if I had all of my kitted projects, like with the threads, the chart, the fabric and the pattern in one of these and then put the name on it and then kept it somewhere completely different, when I sit there and say, I don't know what to stitch, I haven't really got anything to stitch, I will know what is kitted and what is not kitted. And I won't have to go through everything that I own to find out if I might have that fabric or I might have that thread, because the kitted versions will be in bags like this. And I've got so many of these that I'm like, well, I'm not going to need all of these for all of my quilting stuff. I can sort of use some for quilting stuff, the stuff that I'm working on and kitting, and I can use the other lot for my kitted projects. But they were, yeah, I was like, done deal. See? This is definitely not just, it's only for one thing. It's very multi-craft, people, multi-craft. But it came like in these, like this, that's how many I've got. I mean, and I don't have that many projects that I need to kit up. But when I saw them, I was like, I have to have those in my life. What else did I buy? What else did I buy, she says. Let me just grab everything that I bought so that... So I was watching a lady who was doing in-hand top stitching on a quilt. And I was like, well, I don't necessarily do much of that myself. But one thing that I will be doing is obviously the binding and things. And I do have, you know, I do quite like the idea of doing some like stitching on top. And one of the suggestions that she gave was that she actually found that the chenille needles were like a really good choice for the hand sewing sections. So I got myself some of those. I have no idea whether they work or not. I also now understand that friction pens are my best friend. They are so my best friend because, yeah, and I needed them in all these different colours. So yes, I have lots of colours of friction pens now for every different fabric that you could possibly imagine so that I can see on there. So I got myself some of those. So if I ever say I haven't got a friction pen, you can correct me. What else? Again, see, this is that online watching a YouTube channel about all the things that you can buy is dangerous. I saw this being demoed, and as soon as I saw it, I was like, I have to try this. So this is Foundation Pieced Stars by Debbie Shaw. This is what I bought. And when I saw these like Christmas pillows, I was just like, I have to. And it's very beginner friendly, apparently. I mean, I'm saying it's very beginner friendly. I'm just telling you what it says, but it comes with like an actual pattern inside. I mean, let me show it to you. So basically, I just need my fabrics, and you just put it over the top of this block, which then makes the block. Sewing within each block, all steps ones, then all step twos. You might find that you save a little time. Your panel should help you create perfect points, but if they don't quite match, don't worry, only you will notice. I'm like, then I need some of that in my life. But would you look at those? So as soon as I saw that, I was like, it's something I would like to try, because I'm like, anything that's going to help me learn to do the points is a good thing. And the thing is, although this is Foundation Pieced Stars, there's no need for paper. So apparently the interfacing stays on the back of the fabric, making it a simple way of creating beautiful pieced designs that you can make into quilts, bags, cushions or more. The outer seam allowance is included in the panel. There are 4 designs on your panel, which when sewn together create a star shape in the centre. These instructions show you how to make up the blocks. You decide how to use them. Yes. Yes, yes, yes. Again, it's something completely different. I need to give it a go and see whether I like it or see if actually I'm like, I don't like that. I won't know until I've tried it. What else did I get? Also, I managed to pick up this, the easy guide to machine quilt making. Obviously, I'm not a quilter. And yes, I know YouTube is out there and I know you lot are all out there that do it. But I was like, do you know what? Sometimes to have the odd book about a certain type of thing can be super helpful. So I have a little bit of bedtime reading to do. But this has got everything in it. So it's got, you know, machine quilting. It's got a little bit about backing fabrics, tools for basting and tacking and quilting. It talks about sashing and posts. Don't even know what, I mean, I know what sashing is, but I don't know what the post is. How to even your blocks up. See, these are the sorts of things that I need to know. It's like, it's all very well and good doing a block, but it's like, but then when I put all the blocks together, how do I square everything up? So yeah, it's squares on point stars. And it's got examples in there so that I can actually see all of the different types. Flying geese. Yeah. Chain piecing, thread savers, you know, like your tips and tricks. And it is like, I mean, don't get me wrong, it's probably like really, really basic. And anyone that's actually watching this that is a quilter is probably like, you didn't need that book, Teresa. But you know what? For someone who's never done it before, I think I did. So I bought that. I think that was it really for the purchases, apart from digital purchases. Of course, when you do embroidery and you want to do like end-to-edge quilting, I've been all over the internet. I have downloaded so many digital files now for all sorts, like from the embroidery side of things. I've just well, I'll show you in a minute. I've started a new project, and this project has been this bag was bought when I went to Ali Pali back maybe 7 or 8 years ago, and my lovely friend Susie, who makes bags, turned around and said, oh, it's so easy, Tracy, you could easily make it and I could make it with you. Right, well, that was 7, 8 years ago, or at least 5 years ago. Did I make it? No, I didn't. But I did say to her, now I've got my new machine, I really should make this bag that I said I wanted to make. So I ordered the fabric. Oh, the fabric, people. The fabric, I cannot begin to describe to you. But because I decided that I was going to order the fabric and I was going to make this bag, one of the things that I needed to do was quilt the fabric to the foam. And she was like, are you just going to put like a hatch lines on it like you did with, and I was like, no, actually I've decided I'm gonna download one of the digital embroidery designs that quilts it for me. So there's another whole rabbit hole. I absolutely love that rabbit hole, I'll be honest. It's a learning curve, but I was like, yes, we like this a lot. So the dog wants to go back out. Hold on. This is turning into one of them days where no matter how hard I try and get this video done, if it's not a person coming in and out, it's you know, someone outside making a load of noise. And if it's not that, it's a dog wanting to come in and out. And I can't leave the door open because it's too noisy out there. But then the dog keeps scratching to come back in. And you wonder why you only get one video a month these days. And here she is again. She wants to come back in now that she's checked to make sure there's nothing of interest out there. Hold on. Bonbons, you are testing Mummy's patience now. Okay? If you're in, you're in. If you're out, you're out. So lay down. Stop disturbing me. Let me finish. It is like having children. So back to the bag, people. So obviously I needed to buy online digital quilting files for the embroidery machine. But obviously I needed to have something to quilt. So the bag in question. The bag in question, she says, this is the bag in question. Crafters Carry-All. Now, Susie had a smaller version of this, like a little tiny weeny one that she takes and she puts it on the table in front of her when we're at the retreats. I sort of was thinking I wanted something more that size, but then when she said to me, but your one's not that small, I was like, oh, it's not one of those great big giant ones, is it, that all my projects goes in? Anyway, as it's worked out, this is perfect because this is going to be just big enough for my little iPad to fit in. But it's not like a giant tote bag. So I didn't want a tote bag. I wanted like a bag. So I mean, basically the size of this bag. So the finished size is 10 inches high, 14 inches wide, and 11 inches deep. I was like, perfect for what I wanted it for. But obviously I hadn't done anything with it until now. And then she was like, it's not that hard, Teresa. You just need to pick the fabric. Well, people, the fabric. We went down a bit of a rabbit hole with the fabric. So I couldn't help myself. With a little help from friends, of course. I went on to the Lovely Jubbly Fabrics. Here we go. Lovely Jubbly Fabrics. And ordered myself some Tula Pink. Tula Pink. It's addictive. I can now see why so many people have so much fabric stash because it is just yummy. Right. Now, I can't show you just the fabric. I have to show it as a quilted fabric because I've already quilted it. So I've shown you the bag. The bag is what the plan, she said. The plan is that I will have a bag made out of this fabric. Whether it all gets put together or not is a whole nother ball game. But let me share with you these fabrics because they are yummy. Yum, 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 yum. Okay, here we go. So as you can see, they're already pre-made. I just need to actually put it all together now. So this is part of the Tula Pink Nightshade de Veux, is it? I don't know. I'm not very good at pronouncing. I'll put it underneath here. So this one, she says, what is this one? This one is the lace Olinda, I think. So that's my lining fabric. It looks a little bit more purple on there. It's actually a bit more of a magenta-y purple colour-wise. So that is all my lining. And then this is my bag bottom. And that is my quilting. Would you look at that? It just makes it so much more interesting, doesn't it? Than just having plain. So we've got that. That's a bit more backing. As you can see, she told me to put fabric numbers on and put the amounts and then like little notes to myself of what everything's for. And then this fabric. So this fabric here is going to be my pockets. Let me take this off. Hold up. My fabric G. So this is my fabric G, which is going to be the front pockets of my bag. So I put some markings on here. This was where I was working out where the quilting centers were. It's totally fine. It's friction pen. It will iron out with my new super duper iron. So this is the fabric choice for the pocket fronts of the bag. So I've got one smaller pocket, and then she says one like 3 pocket. So I've already drawn the lines on where it needs to connect to the bag behind, and then that will be pocket 1, pocket 2, pocket 3. See, I've got it right in my head. I know how this is going to work. And like I'm going to put the names of the fabrics at the bottom of the screen rather than me trying to say what they are, because I don't even think I can pronounce that one. So love, love, love. And again, it's got a liner on the back. And then this one, she says, oh, this one's missing a, what was this one? Is that a B? Yeah, that is a B. This one, I love this. So this is the main body of the bag. This fabric, which I think is, I think this is mini coven, isn't it? I think this is the mini coven. I'll put the names underneath each one so that you know. But love, love, love. So that's the main body of the bag. So I've got 1, 2, and then we've got the sides, which is the same, like so. And then this is, so basically that is the side. So that is the side of the pocket. And then this is the end pockets. So this one here, which I think is the mini spider blossom fabric. But I absolutely love. Absolutely love. As you can see, it's like Post-it Central, because the only way for me to learn how to do something like this and know exactly which bit goes with what. I mean, literally, I've even made myself like a demo version, but it's like, remember, you got to do this and you got to bind that before you attach this. Yeah. Let's just say she was so lovely that she spent a bit of time on the phone with me on a FaceTime yesterday, going through each single piece, because the one thing that obviously I've never done before and I didn't really quite know what I was doing is how to square up something that you've sandwiched. So yes, okay, I can stick this on the foam and I can do this, you know, fancy dancy design, but I had no idea how to square it to the size that I needed it. So she explained to me, you either use the ruler to square or you use the mat to square, but don't try and mix and match. So I've learned a lot. So I have been, so now you know what I've been doing with my time. I've been sitting there watching my embroidery machine make pretty patterns. But it does take a bit of like that whole centering and getting it to fit and blah, blah, blah. And then I've got, so basically I've got to, what have I got to do? I've got to make the binding for the pockets and for the whole the way around the top and put those on before I can actually sew some of this together. And this is my binding and handles fabric. I'll put it on that overhead so you can see. So that is the binding and handles fabric that I'm going to use. I absolutely love. Absolutely love, people. So for anyone that thought, oh, you know, it's just going to be a, you know, she's got this really fancy dancy sewing machine. She's not even using it. I'm using it. It's getting a beating right now. Unlike the stitching. The stitching's not getting a beating. It's just getting a, do you know what? When I need to just sit down and decompress, I'm going out there and doing my stitching. But then when I need to be like headspace in, okay, engage one's brain. Don't mess this up. Very much in here with the embroidery machine and the sewing and the, but I am in heaven and having so much fun. So much fun. What else to tell you, people? What else to tell you? So I've spoken about the ScanNCut. I've talked about everything to do with the purchases. Hopefully by the time I next see you, I will have a bag that's made. That's the plan. And well, I am rather hopeful that if I can, I would rather like to have this bag complete for the Essex Needles retreat in September. So we've got a busy month ahead, people. Well, I have. So September is likely to be a little busy for me. So I've got, oh, what have we got? Well, obviously it's the big birthday later in the month, but then the weekend straight after that is the Essex Needles retreat. So I'll be away for that. And then the following weekend, is the Chatelaine retreat. So I'll be heading off to Crewe for that. And then literally, I think there's only one more weekend and then I'm off to Blackpool for dancing, all going well. So yeah, very busy time. But with all the fun and stuff that's going to happen, it's like I've definitely got enough to keep me occupied now. You know, if I ever sit there and say, oh, you know, I'm bored. I don't think I've ever said I'm bored. I'll be honest. I don't think I'm ever bored. What about you? Are you ever bored? I can honestly say I never sit here going, oh, I'm bored. Never. It's too much fun. With all the creativity and the craft, there is always something I can turn my hand to now. And yeah, I'm thoroughly enjoying myself. So this coming month is just going to be a whirlwind of activity. I've got bag making to do. I've got stitching to do. I've got 2 retreats to go to. Yeah, it's just fun. I've got fun stuff to do, and what a month to do it in, which is September, the birthday month. What I did say, for those that like to hold me accountable, I did say, didn't I, that because I finished my Chatelaine evening in the park, I did say that I have the Frosty Knot Garden, but I said I wasn't going to get it out until my birthday, and I would treat myself on my birthday and start on another Chatelaine, which is the Frosty Knot Garden, which has already started. So the plan is that Frosty Knot Garden will come out in September and be stitched on. Whether it be stitched on for my birthday or some other day, I'm not sure, because yeah, it's a busy one. It's a busy one. There's lots going on. There's lots to do. And obviously I do rather like the idea of Sampler September, which is quite ironic because my Elizabeth Weston, my Elizabeth Weston Hands Across the Sea was one of my birthday new starts. So I was like, well, should I stitch on that? But then I'm like, but I did promise myself that Frosty Knot Garden would be my birthday new Chatelaine start, even though it was already started. So it could be one or t'other. We will see. Right. On that note, I'm going to disappear like a puff of smoke in amongst all this stuff and try to resurrect this room, because I've destroyed it to show you all of the things. Like I said before, I will not apologise for sharing the things that I buy and share on this channel as part of this is what I've been doing. It's a bit different if I was sitting there going, oh, look, everyone, buy this or buy that. I'm not promoting anything. I'm just showing you what I've bought, why I've bought it, and the fun I'm having with all the bits and pieces. So, yeah, let's see what happens in these comments. And for those of you that leave me lovely comments and comments that make me laugh, I have to say I have chuckled my little heart off to some of the comments of the last video, and I thank you so much for your support, for your assistance, for putting a smile on my face. Yeah, this little community is lovely, and for those of you that always leave me the best comments and the best remarks and the best support, it's warm and fuzzy time, people. Okay, warm and fuzzy time at this house. Thank you so much. I hope you all have a wonderful September. I will see you at some point end of September, beginning of October, once all of the excitement of the month is over, and update you with what's been going on in my life and how much fun I did actually have for my very big birthday. So until next time, people, thank you for listening, and bye bye for now.